Good morning. Happy July 3rd. Today I'm going to do a June reading recap. This is a few days into July because I was working the past 3 days. So we get our reading recap in July. For the month of June, I read about 14 books. 2 of them were novellas, like those very short Amazon short stories. But I read 14 books in the month of June and we're going to talk about it. Also, if I'm very backlit, I apologize because I tried turning my light on, right? And like it's fine, but I feel like it's only like illuminating one side of my face. And then this is behind me, but the window is right there. I don't know. I hope it's okay. I hope it's fine. I'm going to turn this back off. Like I hope that's okay. The first book I read in the month of June was Throttled by Lauren Asher. This book was surprisingly very cute. I didn't know anything about F1. I didn't know anything about racing. I don't know anything about cars, let's be honest with each other. So I didn't really understand how dangerous that sport could be. So this was really like, I loved Noah. I loved I love a good grumpy sunshine, but I loved how grumpy he was and how he turned into a mushy, sappy romantic. Like it was just so cute. And like the rival teammate's sister, like, excuse me. But no, they were really cute. I liked how she was super protective of him. I loved her vlogs. I love to vlog. So yeah, there were a lot of aspects about this book that were cute. I should tell you what this book is about, right? So Noah is this basically dick. He's an F1 racer. He's very good. He's always winning, blah, blah, blah. And apparently the world of F1 racing is super like dangerous. And everyone has warned Maya. Maya's brother is also an F1 driver, but everyone's warned her to, not get involved with the F1 boys because they're gonna sleep with you and move on and all these things. Anyway, so she falls for him, he falls for her, blah, blah, blah. But her brother almost cost Noah his life, shocking, by doing something stupid on the tracks. And it's just it was really cute. The point is that doesn't matter in the story. There's like, I don't know what is going on in here, but that doesn't matter in the story. The point is they get together. They shouldn't. It's a semi-forbidden love, but they fall for each other and it's really cute. And like the sweet little things they do for each other. It's just, I love this book so much, which is so disappointing because we're going to talk about the next one in the series, which I did not like. Anyway, this was the first book that I read and I gave it 4.5 stars. Next up in June, I read The Tenant by Frida McFadden. I will be honest with you, I gave it 3 stars. I don't really remember what else happened in it. I remember I didn't really see the twist coming. The male main character was super whiny and annoying. And then the female main character, I was like, something's off here. I don't think that, how Frida is. She will tell you something is going on when in fact something else is going on. So I could pick that up, but I didn't know exactly what it was. But the point is, it was entertaining. Yeah, that's the end of it. The next book that I read in the month of June was Take a Hint, Dani Brown. This is, I think, my favorite of the Brown sisters trilogy, probably because Dani is a bisexual Black woman. Yeah. But this book I thought was hilarious. Like this was the funniest, I think, of the 3 because just like, let me tell you what the book is about. So Dani prays and asks the universe for a perfect friends with benefits situation, right? So that she can, yeah. And instead of the universe giving her the perfect friends with benefits situation, it sends her Zafir, who is a very romantic, very like, one woman, like, yeah. The opposite of friends with benefits man, but he's also the strong, brooding rugby player. Yeah, like strong, very strong. Anyway, so they go viral in this video because the building is doing some sort of test, and Dani gets stuck in the elevator and she's freaking out because she thinks she's about to die. So Zaf comes in and saves her and swoops her up quite literally and carries her out. And of course it gets caught on video, so everyone hashtags them Dr. Rugby and it's so cute. So they get into this fake dating situation because he needs the publicity for his business that he's running and he's helping little kids, and it's so sweet because he's got a heart of gold. And she's like, sure, why not? I'll help you out. This was so good. This was hilarious. Like they get tossed into a fake dating situation, emotions come into play, and they decide to try a friends with benefits situation, which is a bad idea to start with. And anyway, I thought this book was hilarious. I thought it was really cute. I love a smart, ambitious, queer Black woman who knows what she wants and goes after what she wants. And that's Dani. and I'm obsessed. And she like, oh my goodness, I am obsessed with Dani Brown. Like, I want to reread this book like now. I'm not gonna, because I have a lot of books on my TBR, but this book just was just like, it was the perfect book to read in June because, you know, queer. But yeah, I love this book so much. 5 out of 5. Next up in June, I read The Romance Recipe by Ruby Barrett. This was another queer romance, and spoiler, this was another 5 out of 5 read. I just love a good queer romance. Like, I love a good, just like sweet and wholesome queer people just being queer, and I love it. So Amy is a restaurant owner and her head chef is Sophie. Amy has been crushing on Sophie, but Sophie has been in a relationship with a man. So obviously Amy didn't think she had a chance. So there's Sophie and there's Amy. But Sophie gets out of a relationship and then starts coming out, you know, as bisexual. There's a like toxic situation that kind of happened in the background, but she comes out as bisexual, which Amy obviously didn't know. And then I think she makes the first move and kisses her. Besides the point. The point is, this book was really spicy. Same with Take a Hint, Dani Brown. That was also really spicy. But it's just, I love relationships between women because they have conversations, you know, they talk about shit. They open up about their feelings and they're like clear with communication. So this book like healed some of my inner trauma and childhood issues especially with relationships, because like people like to dance around topics instead of just talking about shit. And this just like squashed it. There was one instance where I was like, what are you doing? Let's not get into hetero situationships. Okay. Let's just talk about things. And yeah, it was really nice. It was so heartwarming because I love this book so much. I also want to reread this book. I have a feeling I'm going to reread this next year in June because it was the perfect month to read it. But also, you know, whenever I want to. Next book that I read in the month of June was The Dixon Rule by Elle Kennedy. And this book was a lot spicier than the first one. Let's start with that. But I loved it. I also gave it 5 out of 5. I was just throwing 5 out of 5 stars in the month of June, apparently. Like, you get a 5-star and you get a 5. No, these books were really good. So The Dixon Rule follows Diana and Shane, and they are next door neighbors in college. They're in college right now because it's a college romance, a college sports romance. Anyway, they're next door neighbors. Shane proposes a fake dating situation so that he wouldn't look lame to his ex, who is now in a new relationship, and blah blah blah. And Diana needs also a fake dating relationship also to get her ex off her back. Anyway, so they get into a fake dating relationship and then decide to be friends with benefits. Anyway, so obviously that works out in their favor. But no, this book was really cute. The book was also really sad. Like, there was some stuff going on with Shane's dad, and there was like stuff going on with Diana and her ex, and there was just, oh my goodness, like there was so much going, like, you know, when you read a book and you're just like, whoa, I'm feeling all of the emotions, and it was so good. It was so good. I cannot wait to read The Charlie Method. I think is the last one in the series. Cannot wait to read that. Like, I have been waiting for it to become available on Libby because I have been listening to the audiobooks and I am obsessed with the audiobooks. I honestly might buy the book so that I can read it sooner rather than later, because I think it's one of my 5-star predictions right now. And I hope I don't get disappointed by it because I loved the first one, The Graham Effect, and I loved The Dixon Rule. So, yeah. Next up, after The Dixon Rule, I read Act Your Age, Eve Brown. And this was not my favorite in the series, but still very enjoyable. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. So basically, Eve is, I forget how old she is, 23, 24, 25. I don't remember, but she's in her 20s. She's, you know, been at home. She's tried all the things. She switched all her majors. She's done all the things. And her parents are like, you need to like figure life out and you need to act your age, Eve. So she runs She runs away from home, finds herself in this like bed and breakfast situation where they're hiring, and she bombs the interview, like does so bad, and then literally hits the owner with her car. Yeah, and now he had to be taken to the hospital. He doesn't want her there. Like it was kind of like an enemies to lovers situation because they hated each other in the beginning, but then she like obviously stays to help out because she hit him with with her car. Yeah, anyway, so it was spicy. It was a grumpy sunshine. Like she kind of learns that she's autistic, and Black women learning that they are autistic in their 20s, everyone's like, no you're not, but anyway, besides the point. And he yeah, I really liked this book. It was very cute. It was very it was not as spicy as Take a Hint Danny Brown, but it was spicy. And they were just I love black people. I love black people so much. Anyway, yeah, this is a really good book. 4 out of 5 stars. Next up in June, I read Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. I'm trying to think why I hadn't read this before, because I've had this book on my TBR for a long time and just for some reason never got to it, and I'm so glad that I did, because this book follows Hallie and Julian. Hallie has been crushing on Julian. He's older than her. I don't remember by how much. There's an age gap there. But when she was 14, right, Hallie almost kisses Julian during a party that Julian's sister was throwing in their vineyard, and obviously they didn't kiss, but she almost kisses him, but she's been crushing on him for 15 years now. And then Julian, he is an author. He went off to the Ivy League. His family's wealthy because they own a vineyard. Anyway, he goes off he goes to the Ivy Leagues. He's an author. He's very routine. He likes things happening at the same time and blah 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 blah. Anyway, he moves back home for whatever reason. I don't even remember the reason. And Hallie is a florist or gardener. Yeah, she's a gardener. And his mom hires her to fix the vineyard or something. And so she's doing this right out his window while he's trying to write his book. Anyway, sparks fly, because why wouldn't sparks fly? This book wasn't as spicy, but it was pretty spicy. And I don't know, I think I was kind of annoyed at first because Julian forgot that they had even met. So I was seriously? But then it got really cute. It's always refreshing to read about characters who have anxiety. The ways they cope with their anxiety always ends up hurting others. But I think it's refreshing when authors show you the real, authors tell you exactly how it is, because that's how it is in real life. People with anxiety will stress about certain things and do things certain ways and hurt others, and they have to own up to their shit and apologize for everyone to be happily ever after. Anyway, but I love this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and yeah, glad I finally read it. Also, them in the vineyard, very spicy. Next up in June, I read If the Sun Never Sets by Anna Huang, and I don't know how I feel about this book. The first book of this series, when it ended, I genuinely was what? So I am glad that questions were answered in this book. I am very glad questions were answered. And I'm not gonna lie, this book annoyed me in the beginning, because what in the world do you mean 5 years later Blake still sucks at communication? What? And I get it, obviously. So the end of book 1, I'm not gonna spoil it, but the end of book 1, the couple in this book break up, and that's all I'm gonna say. And book 2, they somehow get their back, they cross in each other's lives again, and yeah, and he still sucks at communication. After 5 years. The point is, obviously neither of them have gotten over each other, and yeah, but I'm glad that questions were answered. I'm glad Anna Huang tells us what the hell happened. I don't even remember what book 1 is called, but if you read that book and you were also upset like I was, you get answers in this book. That I still don't know how I feel about this book, because I'm was that good enough? Maybe not. I gave it a 3 stars. it was okay. Next up in June, I read Death Row by Freda McFadden, and it's one of those short story like collection. It's called the Alibis collection that Amazon has, and someone left a comment, Frida, again, like go to sleep. And that is my favorite review of the entire book, and literally retweet. And like if it wasn't free, I wouldn't have read it. So I give it 3 stars because it's very mid. You know, it's not good, but it's also not bad. You know? And then next up, I read The Ex-Wives Club, which is also part of the Alibis collection, and this is by Sally Hepworth. I also gave this 3 stars because, yeah, mid. And my thing was there were way too many suspects, but also I saw it coming. Like I knew exactly who did it the moment it was mentioned, but yeah, the character who was a dick. It makes sense that everyone wanted him dead. So yeah, and there were way too many suspects. Like honestly, it could have been anybody, and I would be like, yep, saw that coming. So, yeah. Anyway, next up in June, I finally, it feels like, read Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is book 1 in the Legacy of Orisha trilogy, and I need to read books 2 and 3, which I have book 2, but not book 3. I'm on the hunt for book 3. But first of all, don't trust anybody in this book. I give this book 5 out of 5 stars, and like, I was like, hello? Like, when magic is involved, just don't trust anybody. Anyway, so this book follows Zelly, who lives in a world where the royal family has tried to rid the world of magic. But of course, you can't get rid of magic completely. And there's like a backstory of the gods and how they gave magic to the people and all these things. But basically, Zelly is trying to bring magic back to her people and bring magic back into the world and fight against the monarchy and the royal family. And she meets up with the rogue princess, who is like, yep, I hear you and I am for you and I am going to support you. I'm going to help you, you know, get magic back. And yeah, there's also the prince who, you know, they kind of have a connection, but there is a whole, do not trust anybody. Okay? Do not trust anyone. Anyway, but Zelly is learning to, like, you know, figure out her powers, figure out magic, and just, like, you know, be the strong, badass woman that she obviously is. Like, let's be real. I've only read book 1 and I already know. And, like, just take a look at this cover. Like, I love it. Her silver hair kind of gave me, like, Powerless vibes with, you know, her silver hair. But honestly, like, I'm here for it. I am here for it. Anyway, I gave this book 5 stars because I was so pissed off at the end, because tell me why. Well, I'm not gonna say it because that's a big spoiler, but like, in order for her to like harness her magic, something really, really bad had to happen. Excuse me? Like, I almost cried. I did. I was tearing up and I was pissed. You know when you're so angry you cry? WTF Tomi Adeyemi. WTF. Anyway, I'm so excited to read the next book, and I will read it in July. Next up in June, I read Collided by Lauren Asher, and let me tell you, I was so excited to read this book because I'm like, let's continue the greatness that is the Dirty Air series. And what's that meme? If I could give you a 0, I would, but I give you a 1 or something.
It is so bad, I want to give you a 0, but that's not possible. So I give you a 1.
I like. Okay, I'm just going to say this because I'm not going to talk about it too much. If you have to say we have undeniable chemistry as many times as it was said in this book, then maybe there isn't that good of chemistry. And I was just like, this was just 2 very horny people, which is fine. I am here for the allspice, no plot. But things that annoyed me. Liam gets friend zoned, and then he proceeds to continuously harass her and tells her that she needs to give in to their chemistry. I can't stand that. Like, he literally is like, just admit you like me, give in to the chemistry, just let us blah blah blah. I was so annoyed. Like, there are parts of this book that I truly loved. Like, he has a lot of issues with his family, he has a lot of issues with grief, he has a lot of issues with his past, and like, I wanted more of that. Obviously not to make it a sad book, but like, I wanted more of that character in him that I know that he has, I think he has, but all we get is this like. So they end up becoming friends with benefits because of this undeniable chemistry that I couldn't, yeah. And she literally, spoiler, don't read this book. Let me just say that. Well, read it if you want to, but stuff happens and she she tells him that she's falling for him, and he says, get over your feelings and let's go back to normal. Like, I understand that they had a friends with benefits situation arrangement, but that's just rude. And then she turns around and she's like, I can't believe you don't love me too. Like, girl, you guys are great to be friends with benefits. Hello? Did you miss the agreement? I was just annoyed. Overall, I was annoyed. I almost DNF'd this book. And honestly, I should have DNF'd this book. Considering how much I loved the first book in the series, this book pissed me off. 1 out of 5. 0.5 out of 5 even. Which is sad because I've liked other Lauren Asher books. Like, you know, The Fine Print was meh. But the second one was really good. Terms and Conditions was really good. And the first book in this series was really good. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about it now. I'm not going to read the next book in this series anytime soon. I do want to finish the series. Do not get me wrong. Because, yeah, but we'll see. I'm not in a rush to get to it. Because I went into this because I loved the first one. And I was like, I'm going to love this one. Disappointed. Next up, and I think it was the very next day, I read Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. And this was a book that actually had undeniable chemistry. I'm sorry. Anyway, but I love a good marriage of convenience story. Like, I love all the tropes. I am a romance trope girly. Like, shower me with the friends with benefits, shower me with the friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, marriage of convenience. Like, one bed, forced proximity, all the things. I love it. Anyway, compared to the previous book, these two are also just like lusting after each other, but like in a respectful way. They listen to each other. They communicate. One person isn't telling the other to just get over your emotions and give in to this chemistry that actually was there, I should say. Anyway, but like I think Tessa Bailey, positive or negative, has a way of making me feel like the male main characters are written by a woman. Does that make sense? You know, when everyone's like, yep, this is my favorite character because he's written by a woman? Yes. Like, tell me why she was like, so this book follows Natalie, who is Julian's sister from Secretly Yours, and August, who they had a cameo in the first book for like 2 seconds, but besides the point. But he's like a Marine, retired. He's trying to build a vineyard or like create a vineyard business in honor of his late best friend. And it's like such a sweet, heartwarming story. Anyway, moving on. But tell me why Natalie tells him that, hey, you're making these jokes about my drinking, and it actually really makes me uncomfortable. And boom, he stops because he's like, yeah, we can F around and make jokes, but if it's like actually causing you pain and harm, let's not do that. You know? I'm like, hello? I can't even get a text back. Just kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, basically, she wants to marry him so that she can get access to her trust fund early, and he wants to marry her so that he can get a bank loan to fund his vineyard, for which he's doing in honor of his late friend. And it is so cute because they end up getting married to each other, obviously, because marriage of convenience, and it's a romance book. But it's like, there's so much more going on, and it's just... This book was really sweet. I gave it 4 stars. So glad I finally read it too, because it's also been on my TBR for a while, but for some reason I just never did. I never read it, but really good. And then the last book that I read in the month of June was One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. And I think because I listened to the audio, I might have just like not done it justice, because I gave this book 3 stars because it was, it was okay. But I'm going to read the next book in the series, or listen to it whenever it's available on Libby. I should probably read the physical book, but yeah. I love her name, like Elspeth Spindle. It's just such a magical, like a witchy name almost. And I don't know, I loved it. But yeah, this book follows Elspeth. She has a monster in her. So it's a gothic fantasy, but Elspeth has a monster in her, right? And apparently she needs to release this monster in order to save the people. And there's things going on that honestly, like, I think I'm confused about. I felt that way when I started the Daughter of No Worlds trilogy, where I was like confused about the magic, because I think it's just like there's so much happening that you have to unpack. So I was confused. But I'm gonna read the next book, Two Twisted Crowns, and we will go from there, right? She was like, when she was young, this monster came into her mind, and now she has to figure it out. And at the end of the book, yeah. So yeah. Anyway, this for some reason has been a very long video. But these are the books that I read for the month of June. These are the ones that I have physical copies of course. And I am so glad because I read some queer books, but also like they weren't all queer books. I think I'm just going to continue my queer book reading though into July because I want to read Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. That's on my TBR for this month. Technically, it was on my TBR for June and I never got to it, but I want to read that. And I think I'm going to reread Red, White, and Royal Blue. Like, my heart has missed it and I want to read it again. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching my reading recap for June. I'm curious to know what books you've read in the month of June. I am really excited for reading like more books this summer. I'm really excited for like more romance books to just sit outside on my patio. I think that's my goal for later today, is to sit outside on the patio and read. Yeah. And finish One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune because I'm like halfway through it. So I think I'm going to finish that today or, soon. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you hanging out with me on this corner of the internet for a few minutes of your day. I think I want to do a TBR count. Like I want to talk about all the books on my physical TBR, which is a lot because like I've got 5 shelves total and 3 of them are mainly TBR books. So yeah, let's talk about that next. Okay, that would be my next video. So yeah, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next one.